Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Under the Iron Flag. This week it's just Agro and I, and we're going to be talking about Senkizesho Symphogear, meteoroids falling, burning, disappearing, and then Season 1! Uh,
I love Uniel as well.
yes.
I somehow made an obscure show reference. You just made this is a very obscure show,
Yeah,
and I somehow made an even more obscure reference.
I mean, I guess if you're going to be into Symphogear, there's a chance you'd be into fighting games, you know?
Sure.
Especially a French-bred fighter. But
Very excited for Hibiki to be in the new Melty Blood
that'd be dope.
DLC. Very relevant to today's media.
Yes. Uh, but yeah, so today is going to be on Symphogear. Personally, I've seen all of Symphogear. I binge watched the entire 5 seasons over the course of like 3 or 4 days. I fell in love with the show after the first episode. Um, Agro, what is your
My
experience with
history.
Symphogear? Yeah.
Well, about 4 or 5 years ago, I watched like 2 episodes. Said I hated it and gave it a 3 out of 10.
Then years later, he
Uh,
recommended it to me and was like, "You'd like it
I
though."
did. I did recommend it to you.
I hate this show. You'll like it.
hmm And then I decided to watch it now. I don't know why we decided to watch it now. I
Because
guess
I
I'd been
watched
wanting
it
to
and
watch
I
it for a
loved it, and
while,
I was like, "Hey, you'd like this. Why didn't you like this?"
and I had no response because it seems like something that's incredibly made for me.
Yeah. So, what is Symphogear, Agro? What's your elevator pitch? How would you describe Symphogear to someone who has not seen it?
Okay. Okay, you take teenage girls in high school,
Mhm.
right? Okay, that's step one. Step two, you take singing.
Okay.
Singing. Wow. Step three, mechs, but not really. Kind of more like battle suits.
Mm-hmm.
You combine all three together, and then oh no, there's the professor from what I don't remember the intro from
Powerpuff
Powerpuff Girls.
Girls,
The secret ingredient,
Chemical
gay.
X. He put
There it
Chemical
is,
X in
and
the
they're
water,
and
turning the
put it
girls
all
gay.
together, and you have Symphogear.
Yeah,
A pretty good show,
with a
I would
light
just gotta
little
say.
dose of magical girl, but yeah, every otherwise I'd agree. Yeah, that's a great way to describe Symphogear. I would agree.
True.
uh, so yeah, that is a pretty good way to describe it. That's way better than I could have described it because I was thinking this question over the other day. I was like, how do you describe Symphogear? I couldn't describe this show.
Mm.
um,
Gotta have that elevator pitch ready to go.
yeah. Um,
The other description: the adventures of Kazunari and all the lesser beings around him.
fair. Every show should have a Genjuro. So I guess yeah, let's talk about the cast a little bit.
Just for
For
reference,
people who
real quick,
haven't seen it.
I have the Mal pulled up so I can see every character's names with a picture next to them.
Keep in mind, there's two
Because I don't
Kazunaris.
remember any names. Oh, there is. Who's the other one?
Subasa. Subasa is
Wait, they're
Subasa
related?
Kazunari. They are.
What?
Yeah, I didn't
This
mention
was
this
not
during
as
the
said
show.
in the show.
They have not explicitly stated they do have the same last name. So
Okay,
yeah, you could have
sure.
inferred it. But
Oh,
yeah,
I just
by
did.
calling him Kazunari, I was like, well,
I
you
see.
you should probably
I
specify
see. They
there.
do. They do both have the same name. Hmm.
Yeah, yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They are related. Um, so
Okay.
yeah. But so
Sure.
yeah, who is the cast made up of? You can give a little brief. Uh,
Oh, I get to do that.
sure. Yeah, you can
Um.
describe them in a way that you think suits them, and
Okay.
then
An
if you're
elevator
stuck,
pitch.
I will fill in,
You have
or we
Hibiki, the
can
protagonist to
alternate.
ever protagonist.
Hmm.
Subasa. She is sad and angry, but also, um, I don't know. That's it for most of the show until she resolves her character arc.
Uh-huh.
You have Chris, who's also sad and angry, and just wants someone to love her. Someone in particular, but who cares? Then you have Miku. We love Miku. She's the best character in the
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
She's just perfectly
Second
innocent.
best, but yeah.
I hope she never gets a battle suit ever. And then the only other character that matters is we've already mentioned is Genjiro,
He's so
the
cool.
hero of all heroes.
I
He
mean, there
deserves to be in Tekken now.
that'd be dope, but he's too strong. You can't do that to Tekken.
True. When is he fighting One Punch Man?
Who says it hasn't happened already?
Mm.
I
No
guess
spoilers for seasons 4 through 5,
that's fair. Uh,
as I have not seen. So
there is also Fine, or spoiler alert, if you haven't seen the show, go watch the
what?
show. It's a good show. But there is Fine, aka Sakurai Ryoko, and Kanade, who was Subasa's old
Oh yeah,
flame.
she was important.
Subasa's old flame slash
Mm.
musical partner slash life partner. Uh, so yeah,
Slash, she will come back. I'm calling it now.
that
I'm not going to click on her Mal link because that would be spoilers.
good call.
Uh, Probably for all of them.
Yeah, there's gonna be a lot on all of those, to be honest.
Yeah, there's 5 different seasons with different listings. So
Uh-huh. Um, but yeah, so among the three girls who fight with Symphogears that we see, so there's Hibiki, who mostly fights using her fists in
not due to her
Gungnir.
choice. Not her choice.
There's Tsubasa, who fights using Ame no Habakiri, which is sort of this traditional Japanese-styled Symphogear. Her music is very like Japanese rock, I guess music-wise. Hibiki's is very like Celtic rock, Celtic battle music inspired. Um, Tsubasa fights with a katana, not just a katana, but also like ankle katanas and a giant katana. She's very katana
Giant,
based.
the greatest of great swords. It's like a story tall.
It's so cool. And then we
It is
have
very
Chris,
cool. She's just doing the Izanumic kick.
who is an American. Uh,
Gun.
she has guns and makes
Gun.
references
Gun.
to
Gun.
classic
Gun.
rock in all of her attack names.
And
And
missiles. Don't forget missiles.
yeah, and just yeah, uh, guns, explosions, nukes, uh, hard rock music. She's an American, and you can't convince me otherwise. I don't care that she's Japanese. She's American. So among those three, uh, who would be your favorite fighting style wise? Like as a
Gun.
fighter to watch, who is your favorite?
Gun.
Chris. Yeah,
To the
that's
end. I
fair.
don't have to say anything else.
I
Just
mean,
she has too many guns at the same time, and then uses rocket launchers. She's just like lady from DMC,
she's
but
very,
with a
very
mech
cool.
suit.
The reason I ask is
Uh,
because literally all three of these tropes are tropes that you have loved in other stuff. So
True.
all
You'd
three of these
expect me to
are
like
right
Tsubasa.
up your alley. Like Subasa, exactly, with like
It's
katana.
probably my 3 favorite weapon types like fighting types in terms of like classic katana, like the what is it? What would you call it? Where you sheath the sword
Yeah, yeah, I
as
know.
the thing behind you dies.
Yes, that's
Uh,
Eido.
uh yes, Iaido. Yes, exactly that. Then you have punch because it's just cool to punch
It is
things,
very cool.
and then the power of gun,
Bang bang.
the greatest of all powers, except Genjiro.
Gendro, who I guess he rubbed off pretty well on Hibiki since she was not strong to start off with.
Mm.
She sucked at fighting. And then she spent one training montage with Genjiro,
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and
which I missed the first time through. You had to tell me
I
about.
did. I was like, hey, you should go watch that. But it's one of my favorite sequences in the whole show. They watch Bruce Lee movies while training in yellow jumpsuits. They do a bunch of stereotypical training montage stuff, karaoke because Symphogear, and then they
Mm.
cosplay as Makoto and Akuma from Street Fighter. And then he tells her to like, uh, I forget the exact quote, but basically crush lightning and catch the thunder. And somehow that clicks for her. It's like it makes oh, here it is. Yeah. She's punching a punching bag with training, and he's like, "No, no, not like that. Strike you like you've been eating thunder and crushing lightning." And she's like, "I don't have any idea what that means, but I'll give it a shot." and then she knocks the entire punching bag off the tree and into like the pond.
You just have to give someone a logic way to know what they need to do. Obviously, that's all you
Yeah.
need to do.
Hey,
No
bro,
training or other
you
training
should be
required.
eating thunder and crushing lightning.
Ah, I get it.
I
I
get it
see.
now. Bang! Who knew that that's all Goku needed to do? um, but yeah, so I mentioned earlier, but personally, I fell in love with this after episode one. Um, you know, for me, it's one of my favorite episodes ever. Uh, it's just, it's so succinctly sort of goes into a little bit of everything that is, important and cool in Symphogear. Uh, like it pulls you in immediately, right? We have Miku crying at the
True.
grave of the protagonist, which sets you up to wonder, okay, well, what happened? What happened to Hibiki? Why is she
Mm,
crying?
mm,
Listen, I know we can get to that later.
we'll get to that at the end.
uh, and then we get a flashback from 2 years ago, to a Zweiwing concert that Miku actually invited Hibiki to, and then she wasn't able to go to. So that's important information for their relationship later on. Um, and it has this crazy awesome, like, well animated dance sequence, awesome music, and then, as we start to sort of come down from the music a bit, the whole venue gets invaded by noise, these
Probably the
seemingly
best
like,
animated dance sequence, by the way.
oh yeah, the first episode
Episode
has the
one.
highest like animation quality, I think.
I went, let's show everyone what we can do.
Yeah. And
And
then
that's it.
there
That's
are,
all we can do. That's
well,
it.
there's flashes of that throughout
There's a
the
couple weak
season,
shots.
but
Never to that extent, though.
no, the first episode doesn't stop, even in like character moments. Um, but yeah, the whole thing gets invaded by the noise, these like weird aliens that kill humans as soon as they touch them. Uh, and that whole initial attack was so brutal. Like that was the most brutal scene in the show, right? Like they were really
Probably.
like,
No, it's when in I don't know episode 10 or 11 when that one security like or military guy
oh, that was pretty rough.
gets yeah,
Yeah, he
that
gets
one when he
stabbed
gets
and just
disintegrated.
disapparates.
Yeah, in front of the high school children,
Yeah,
they just start
that was
crying
pretty
basically.
rough. Uh, but this one was just like mass murder. It's like
Yeah.
it was that, but on a mass scale. Um,
Mhm.
like we don't see anyone else, really surviving other than Hibiki, who Kanade, transforms to fighting with her Symphogear to fight off the
Uh-huh.
noise, and then Tsubaki soon transforms after, and Kanade does pretty well. But then her Gungnir starts to give out, and then in a last-ditch effort, she uses her climax song, or her Zesho. You get it? It's like the name of the show.
Uh-oh.
Senki Zesho Symphogear.
Said the thing. Whoa.
Yeah. And then, she takes down the rest of the noise, but she goes out along with it.
Hmm.
And a piece of the Gungnir gets lodged in Hibiki's heart, uh, as
It's
like
fine.
debris. Yeah, she'll be fine. Just 2 years of rehab, I guess. uh, and then even within that episode,
It worked out.
it did work out. It's pretty cool. It worked out for everyone but Miku. Poor Miku. Uh, even within that episode, so you'd think like, wow, that's a lot. Okay. But then later that episode, Hibiki is alone in the middle of town going to just buy a CD. And she comes across a little girl during a noise attack. She does her best to protect her even without knowing she has any powers. But, thankfully for her, she has that piece of Gungnir um, lodged in her body from when Kanade, fought to defend her. And she gets the coolest transformation in this show, Come Fight Me. Um, and her initial form is this like dark, beastly berserker with fangs,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I wouldn't
then
say you're wrong.
that's the last shot of episode one. Like that's all episode one. There's so much, and then we
It's a
even
very
get
good first
introduced to
episode.
like Miku and their relationship a bit. It's really good. I was super hooked, and I'm glad I continued watching. But that's my episode one spiel. That is why I fell in love. So I wanted to go a bit more in depth into why I think episode one is so cool. Um, and just how it sort of pulls you in. Um, so now that you've finished watching
Yes.
Agro, who would you say are your favorite and least favorite characters, and why?
Well, just of like the main six.
Yeah,
'Cause
sure.
outside the main six, you get like,
The
I mean,
the
there's like
Three
what
Stooges.
sure, Kanade, she's there. She's not really a character that much. What characterization she does get very good, very little though.
Yeah, that's
Um,
fair.
but there's a reason the little girl who appears in 2 episodes and has like 3 lines is on this main listing of 10 people. Because always like the 10 people up front on the Mal page,
Mm-hmm.
and little girl who's in 2 episodes, she's on there. There's the assistant or manager guy. He's okay.
Oga was pretty cool.
I guess. Yeah, he's cool. But Genjiro's the best.
That's fair.
There's
Can't
no
argue with you
question.
there. He
He's the
is really
coolest.
cool.
He's very interesting, smart, good at his job mostly. Uh, Canonically the strongest, stronger than the
The Symphogear
Symphogears.
users, yeah, he was
Yes,
stronger than Fide.
I know. He came so close to just killing the antagonist.
But the thing I like about that fight,
He hadn't hesitated.
like, he's human. He is a normal dude, right? So as strong as he is, he doesn't have a super powered, magical girl
Yet.
suit yet. And so when he gets hit by one attack in the gut, he's down. He can no longer fight. And I think that that is really cool. So, the way he handles his job, I think is so cool. Like,
Mhm.
he's so good at what he does. He explains these complex and important things to teenagers using like superpowers in a clear, helpful, and friendly way, while also recognizing like, oh, these are kids. Like when he's explaining to Hibiki like why she can't tell anyone about joining, Special Disaster Response Team 2, and like most of his interactions with Chris, later on about, uh, why she's untrustworthy of people, and how it's okay to, she's safe now. She can
Yeah,
rely on him. He's not trying to hurt her.
and he
He
doesn't
doesn't
even do it as
force
part of
her
his
to
job.
join.
No,
Yeah, he doesn't force her to
he
join. He's
just
not
lets
trying
her
to
go.
recruit her. He's just trying to let her be safe and comfortable, Like, he's a good role model.
Great dude.
Like, he's just good. And it feels
Yep.
nice to have a character like that in something for once. So often we get like, and I understand, story writing, motivations, whatever. But
But he has good all that.
he does. But it's also just nice to just have a good dude sometimes.
Yeah.
You know? I just like good guy being good.
Mm.
It's refreshing. And you don't typically see these big, strong muscle guys and, basically a magical girl show.
It's fair.
So
Very
it
fair.
is
He's
unique in
very
that
out of place.
aspect. Yeah.
Uh, I liked him, and then
Who would be your least favorite among the cast?
least favorite among the main six. That's a tough one. I like Fina as antagonist.
Hmm.
She's good. I don't know. It's a tough call, but I like her, and I also like Subasa, but I have a lot of problems with Subasa. Mostly being that her character arc finishes in episode, what is it, episode 8? What is the one where she has her concert? Is it 7 or
I
8?
think it's a bit later, but it's pretty early considering like what else
It's at
happens
least
later on. It's
3
like
or 4
nine or
episodes.
eight, yeah.
Yeah,
Because
it's
it's a
like
13 episode season, I'm not sure
yeah, it's
exactly
like
when it
8 or
is,
9,
but
I think.
yeah, you're right. It is pretty
But
early.
she finishes her character arc and then nothing meaningful
Mhm.
ever happens with her again. Which I mean would be fine if the other 6 characters did not have a like well paced out arc.
Right.
I don't know. I liked what we got. It's just after that she felt kind of pointless to the story.
No,
Because
that's
even
fair.
after that, we like dropped off of her and Hibiki's relationship,
Yeah, honestly, I would
which
agree
could
that
have
in this
been
season
built up
she's
more.
actually the weakest character. Um,
And she didn't really have a relationship with Chris. She
right,
didn't have any
exactly.
meaningful relationship with her relative Genjiro Kazane or Kazanari.
Yeah.
Uh,
Like most of her growth comes from internally accepting uh you know that
mm,
Kanade is gone, but that
yeah, and that
you
was good
know
stuff.
if
Don't get me wrong.
like she doesn't have to Kanade isn't alive, but she can keep her close in her heart while not uh physically being there,
Yeah.
and so most of her like growth moments come as like an indirect um moment from that, like it's almost like her growth doesn't come from other characters that like verbally are talking to her, aside from maybe some moments with Hibiki. um like uh, the date with Hibiki and Miku, I think, is a good example of her
It's a good.
experiencing
That's
some
a good
character growth
one.
from other characters. um like she often calls herself, like, the way she views herself is pretty interesting, right? Like she calls herself a defender, a blade, a sword, sometimes to the detriment of her own life, and in the way that she sort of denies herself um, the ability to, sing for fun, right? She believes her songs are only meant for battle. But then, time passes and she gets more used to Hibiki, and Hibiki and Miku take her out on a date. She spends time appreciating this daily life that she's been protecting for other people all this time,
Yeah.
and she gets to finally appreciate that aspect, and remembering some of Kanade's words regarding that, I think, helped her start to move forward. So
Mm.
there is growth, but like you said, it happens so early that
It happens early, and then
don't really do
they drop
much.
off of her, and she also doesn't really support anyone else's characters for the rest of the show.
That's fair.
Like,
Yeah.
sure, at the end there, she does technically support Hibiki and ending everything. We'll
Hmm.
go with, but overall, she doesn't really have any character development, and no one develops off of anything she does
That's fair. What would you
for the
say
rest
your
of the season.
favorite moment was from her? I have one in mind. If you're
The
thinking
concert,
the concert, which
very good.
one?
Or the
Her
date.
solo one or
Yes,
the?
there's a of
Okay.
course.
Personally, my favorite was probably after her fight with Chris. So when she uses her climax song, she turns and looks at the camera, and
Oh yeah,
she's
I've seen that
bleeding
10
through
billion.
her
I've seen that for
eyes, mouth,
years.
and nose, and it's just so cool. And it just shows
Yeah.
her state of mind early in the show so well. It's like, man, I failed to protect Kanade. Kanade died protecting people. You know, it's like she later gives Hibiki this speech about, like, don't go out there to commit suicide, basically. Like, don't go die for survivor's guilt. And I think that speech came from her using her climax song in her fight against Chris. I think that she was trying to die.
Mhm, mhm.
And she is now accepting, you know, I'm gonna be
I will
around,
say,
and I should, you know, maybe try to move on and live. I don't think Kanade would want me to just throw my life away.
yeah, I will say that going into a 5 season series, I did not expect literally all of them to use their climax song at least once.
You do not, or you do?
I did not expect that.
Oh, like in season
Like
one.
for all of them to use it at least one time.
In all fairness, Hibiki didn't actually. She sang it, but nothing happened, if you remember. So she sang it
Yes, yes.
as they were
Mhm.
going up, and then.
But then they all sang it at the end
Oh, you're right. You're right. They
again.
did. Yeah. True. True. I
Yeah.
forgot.
Remember that?
Hmm.
We're gonna end
Um.
this podcast on a negative note later. look forward to it.
um, so while we're talking about favorite moments, what was your favorite Hibiki moment?
There's lots of good stuff. She's a
There
good
is. There's
character.
I don't know. I really like Hibiki overall.
I want to say I don't know. There's lots of good moments.
hmm
Probably when she let I know this is both a Miku moment more so, but when she uh what is it? When she runs away with the like what is it? The diner lady while Miku
That's a
uh
good one. Yeah, yeah.
distracts the thing because she's letting Miku handle that.
She's like showing her trust and her
Mhm.
ability and allowing
Yeah,
Miku to also fight with her in her own way. That's a good one.
exactly.
Yeah. Man, I don't know what mine
Probably
would
that.
be.
There's lots of good ones though.
Like you said, like she's so good and honestly really interesting. Like there's a lot to her character. Uh, and she certainly, I mean, she gets the most screen time. She has the most growth over the course of the show. I don't know. I like watching the way she fights. You know, like you can see as she sort of learns martial arts from Genjiro, but she lacks an armed gear. She compensates for it in these different ways. And so the energy that would normally go into an armed gear, she stuffs it into her gauntlet and fires it like a bullet. And then, she becomes more capable over time, and then she'll take her Symphogear and modify it mid battle. Like she was
Oh
fighting this
yeah,
huge like
that's some good
tower
stuff.
thing, and she pulled her gauntlet, which normally goes up to her elbow, up to her shoulder to fit more, energy into it, and punches a hole into giant stuff. Like
We're using I like her when she uses like the suit to launch herself.
oh yeah, to propel herself forward. That was really
Yeah.
cool. She also like she broke the heels off of her gear at one point because after training with Genjiro, she's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, this feels weird." So she just breaks it off. Um yeah, I don't know, just the way that she physically adapts her suit, I think is really cool. And it's not one moment per se, but watching that growth is one of my favorite things about Hibiki as a whole.
Mm. Yeah.
Um,
I like her character a lot. She's a very good protagonist.
yeah, she has these two little catchphrases too. I don't know if you caught them, but um, she's always saying, I must be cursed. Whenever something goes wrong, she's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, I must be cursed.
Well,
Uh,
now I'm thinking she has an actual curse now that you pointed out. I'm
and
scared.
two, she's always saying, I don't know. The translation for this changes across seasons, so it's gonna be a little bit different.
Oh yay,
But
fun.
but some variation on I'm fine, it's going to be okay, or something along those lines. But if you hear her say it, she'll say "heiki hechara," and she's roughly saying like,
I will
it's fine,
never
it's
notice
gonna be
that.
all right. You know, there are later seasons where that book, if they just stop trying to translate it as well, you know.
Just like, have you ever heard of Bob Marley?
uh, every little thing gonna be all right now. Uh, what did you think of the overall story? Did you have any idea going into episode 1 where we would end up in episode 13?
Uh, I kind of figured it'd go insane. Like I didn't. I think it will continue to go more insane. Like it didn't hit that high bar that I thought it will. That I think it will eventually, and did think at the time, which I
Hmm.
expected in season one. I expected season one to be a little more grounded than the rest.
You thought
Uh,
season 1 was grounded?
in comparison, not at all. Literally,
Uh-huh. Yeah,
it did.
fair. They did
Haha,
go to
moon.
space.
They the moon. The moon. uh, but yeah, I'd say about the level I expected. I'd say the one thing that was more than I thought was the moon.
Yeah.
I
So
figured that'd be for later season.
that's fair. Yeah. So for
No way
context,
they do not go to space, by the way.
they did
No way. But okay.
like go
No, no, they went
back
up
more
into
in
the
depth, you
atmosphere.
mean?
I mean, there's gonna be aliens. They got to go to the moon. What's the name of the god is up there?
Yeah, yeah.
uh, he's locked there. Just like hit video game Final Fantasy 14 a lot.
Funny enough that you say that. They're I like the way the characters interact. Like
Mm,
Miku hears about this tower named Katangir later on, and she's trying to figure out what it is, and so
mm.
she Googles it on her phone, and she just gets game search like game walkthroughs,
Yeah.
and that's just such a tiny little like detail, but there's so many little moments like that that just make the characters feel more human that I really love. That was a cute little you know uh, moment. But yeah, the plot's pretty nuts. Um, you know, uh, Agra's theory on episode 10, uh, for episode
Yes, that's right. That's
11
right.
was uh, Fine will steal the sword of Durandal and build the
Yes.
Tower of Babel to the moon, where the great Lulu Amel rests. And he was kind of close.
I was just saying big
Basically,
tower. I didn't expect it to actually be Tower of Babel. I just figured it would be a metaphorical one where she would build the thing, but then it would get destroyed, and therefore she loses more than she gained, or
yeah.
what could have possibly gained. Yada yada.
And it
Uh,
essentially ended up being blow up the moon with a laser cannon to reunite the world's languages into one. Why? Well, to fuck
very
God,
literal.
of course.
Yeah.
You know,
What other
she's too
motivation is there?
thirsty. She just can't
Understandable.
stop. Someone stop her.
Very excited to meet Lulu.
Yeah. So there was a single line that, as we were watching, Agro told me, "Write that down. Write that down." Uh,
That's right. I was not taking notes.
and so I did, and it's a bit long, but here it is. This came from Fine as playing the part of Sakurai Ryoko. Uh, if a
Who could
human,
have foreseen?
I know, what the bloody suitcase that surely,
What?
surely it's someone
Another
else.
there's a traitor within this vast organization of which we know two people's names,
I'll be real. They said there's a
and
traitor,
there's an evil lady.
and I suspected Fine or well Ryoko and Ogawa for like a long time. Like even when Fine was
Forgot he
revealed,
existed,
I was sus of him. I was like, they said a traitor. I'm
but
still
they already
watching
revealed the
you.
traitor.
Yeah, but I was still just sus of him.
The only thing I was surprised by was how like the show just suddenly was like, okay, they all know. Don't worry about it. They all know. You don't know. We haven't officially had the big reveal moment.
I mean,
Uh,
yeah, they gave so many tiny hints that the show's like,
yeah, but like
but
they're
they
literally
don't
in the middle of a
explicitly say
conversation.
it.
They're in the middle of a conversation, like a big phone group voice chat. They're all what's that site called?
Conference call,
Yeah, what's that site called people use? I
Zoom.
never used it. Zoom. They're all in their Zoom call, their high tech Zoom call, and she calls in, and then they just change like how they're speaking and what they're talking about, and act like they were not talking about what they were just talking about, but no one mentions anything about it. It's pretty good. Like I do like it. I also like that he knew like pretty much as soon as the viewer knows.
Hmm. Yeah,
He knew right
he's not
around that point.
stupid. Like
No.
it's nice that Genjiro is like competent and like intelligent.
Mm,
Like there's a scene earlier on where Fine or Ryoko, whatever,
mm,
uh, gets this politician assassinated, and while he had opposed some of their plans in the past, the reasoning that um, Genjiro gave that he was like we didn't always agree, but the reason he always said stuff like that was to protect us. He doesn't want us getting shut down, and if we're working outside you know the law,
yeah.
then at any point we can be shut down. So if we remain doing everything legally, we're all set. But the moment we start doing anything that illegal or extrajudicial, we're screwed. If the government wants us shut down, we're shut down. You know. And so he was just trying to protect us, and now he's gone, and now his replacement is a pro-American replacement. So we'll see how that goes.
I forget, they never really did anything with that, huh?
No, no.
Okay. I assume there
Um,
will be a time skip next season, but we will see how they handled that.
yeah. But so what Fina was saying about the lore dump was if a human can use the climax song. Well, okay, she was talking about Symphogears. I'll give a summarization of what she was saying about Symphogears first, because for context. So basically, uh, they Symphogears increase the physical capabilities of the user. It coats the body of the user in an anti-noise barrier,
Important part.
and their impact forces the noise to abide by the laws of the universe temporarily.
Actually, that's the most important part. They're gonna go to another dimension.
Ooh. There is an immense strain placed on the body by the energy that the Symphogear releases, though, and the most obvious example of that is the climax song. Um, and so, she's talking about how the one exception to this is Hibiki, who has become this sort of relic human hybrid. And then she talks about how if a human can use the climax song without placing any stress on themselves and utilizing the relic's power freely, that will be the proof that we've been released from the bonds set by the capital C custodian in the past. We shall speak to one another with true words, and the Lulu Amel will be able to determine their own destiny, surpassing the past.
Okay. Wait, thank you for writing that line down exactly
Mm-hmm.
the way that's said. Because the curator,
Custodian.
I have no. You know what? Why did I say curator? You just said the
Mass
word.
Effect? Is that a Mass Effect
Uh,
thing?
no, that's the Dark Pictures anthology.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah. uh, I have many thoughts,
Mm.
none of which are very solid.
Well,
I
I
would
mean, we're
assume the
here. Any theories?
Lulu, the Lululemel are people.
Mm-hmm.
They are the past versions of humans.
Do you think so?
They were
Like,
the ancient civilization, basically.
oh, like the one that she was like
That
a
were
priestess
yes,
for
that
back in the
she was
day?
part of.
Gotcha.
She's that's a spoiler. I'm not going to say that about another thing,
Oh,
but
okay.
she's a member of of the Lulu Amel, a passage of civilization. But now, after whatever the you just said it, what is it?
The
The C word?
the
The
custodian.
custodian. After whatever the custodian did, and now the Lulu Amel are lesser and only human.
Yeah.
That's my theory.
Also,
I
she
think that's
later
my theory.
mentions that like the ancient civilization created the noise. Uh,
I don't know. Yeah.
like I'm not saying this disprove your theory or anything. I just
No, no, no,
as
no.
we were talking about
This
this,
supports my
I
theory.
was thinking, and she mentioned something about how because they
That's what I
could no longer
remember. Yeah,
communicate
yeah.
with one another, they ended up creating the noise. Uh,
Hmm.
and yeah. Um, so I guess we should probably explain a bit more about the noise, right? Uh, so it's kind of like the
Evil
boogeyman of
monster.
the series. Yeah, exactly. Um,
Evil. Eat
they,
people.
but
Well,
interestingly
disintegrate
though,
people.
they've been all around for like all of human history. Um,
Yes, they're just only revealing themselves more recently.
right. They've
To
just
this
kind of
extent.
been like thought of as like yokai or other mythological creatures throughout history, but in the last 13 years, appearances have drastically shot up. Um, and even more recently, they've been heavily surrounding the academy. Uh, so it, implying that someone is attacking them, like controlling them for it to happen in such a high number and
Hmm.
frequency. Um, so yeah, and again, they normal people, and the reason that Genjuro being so strong cannot directly fight them is he can't hit them. Um,
Yeah. Sadly, if
yeah,
not, the war would have been won.
if he touches the noise, he will die. Um, Humans cannot touch the noise, or they will just die. Um, so it's pretty rough. Pretty rough deck of, pretty rough hand of cards. You know,
Yeah. When's he getting his Symphogear?
maybe the mobile game.
Mm. I know he just doesn't want to spoil me for season 4.
What did you think about Fina's introduction?
Oh yeah. English.
Yeah, there's a
I
lot
don't
of
remember
that.
the exact lines, but there's some good ones.
Uh,
And by good, I mean very bad.
oh, that's yeah. Later on, there's the oh, you're the scum monkeys.
Oh, yeah.
She's trying to say, you dirty U.S. scum monkeys, but she basically says, you dirty Yuri scum monies. But mumbled,
Scummies.
you dirty your scum monies.
Yeah, driver in your scummy knees. I mean, she tried her best. Like, don't get me wrong.
Oh
Pretty
yeah,
good.
listen, I
It's not
couldn't
who I would
talk in
never spoke a word
Japanese.
English. Yeah,
No.
no, I
So,
no.
credit where credit's due. I
Anytime
don't
anyone
want to
is
be in
ever
her
like,
position.
anytime anyone who is speaking, like I work with a bunch of people who are mainly speak the Spanish is their main language, and anytime any one of them is like, "Oh, sorry, I don't for the English," like, what you speak a second language pretty well most of the time, like
Yeah,
it's insane. I couldn't do that.
right. Hey, I'll shit on you when I speak more languages than you. Tell you what.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then she hangs up. So her introduction is in this bloody room. There's a ton of
Hmm.
torture devices. She's fully nude.
Yeah, she really likes to do that for some reason.
Yeah, basically every scene where she is Fine, she's just fully nude in her own
Yeah,
mansion. Um, and after her very funny English phone call, she hangs up and says, vulgar and disgusting, just like the country he was born in. It's like,
yeah.
okay, all right.
And then she goes over to Chris.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, she electrocutes Chris and then tells her, remember this, Chris. This is the truth of the world. Only pain can connect people's hearts.
Hmm.
That's a pretty early look at her ideology. Chris has Stockholm syndrome, by the way.
What?
Uh,
Who
she
could
has
have
been
seen? I never
abused
watched.
by Fide for the
Ridiculous.
last at least. Do you have an idea of the time window? Because I know, but I'm not sure if I know from season one.
I think. I mean, she was like 8 or 10 when she was,
She was 8 when she was kidnapped
trafficked.
overseas. Yeah, but the
I was
show
so I
implies
don't know.
that
How
she was
old is
like she
she? I
returned
forget.
back to Japan and then
Yeah,
went
so
missing.
it's unclear. From that point, it would have been max 6 years. I don't know. No,
Okay,
they don't say,
it'll
but I
be
also don't know
more.
how old she is.
Yeah, so she's 16.
Okay.
Um,
So yeah, then the gap is max 6 years.
so well,
But
the gap would
but
be
it's on.
8 years, so 8, and then
I thought you said she was 10 when she was.
no, she was 8 years old when she was kidnapped.
Oh, okay, okay,
And
okay.
now she's 16.
Got it. A year
Um,
gap.
but yeah, so I won't go into the specifics of how long she's been gone since I'm not sure if you know. Um, I think technically you could piece it together, but you would need to be paying very close attention. And honestly, the dates are really hard to follow in the early seasons. Like, if I didn't tell you, how long would it have taken you to figure out the time skip stuff with like the 2 years ago and then back to the modern day and all that? But you know how it starts off? It starts off with the series episode 1. It starts off with Miku at the grave, and then we get a 2 years ago flashback. But then it just cuts to modern day, and it doesn't say, you know, back to the present day or like something like that. It just says it just cuts back. There's no present day or 2 years in the future. It just cuts back, I think. So it's a little confusing. And I
Yeah,
remember having to sort of explain to you, like,
yeah. I didn't really get what's happening.
yeah, I
I
was
thought it had
like,
been. I thought figured it had been a month or two.
Yeah, I was like,
between
no, no,
the
I
attack
was
and
confused with
that.
this too. It's been 2 years. I know because I was also confused and eventually figured it out when I was watching. But
Yeah.
um, yeah. So I guess we should maybe talk about the namesake for the show, um, the
Nah, it's fine.
Symphogears. So the Symphogears are powered by pieces of ancient relics from the past. So, for example, Ame no Habakiri was Susanoo, who's a Japanese god, was Susanoo's blade. Gungnir was Odin's lance, and Ichival is a bit more complicated. It's a rough, like Japanese translation of Idalir or Udales, which is the home of Uller in Norse mythology. But due to Japanese
They like
translation
you some
stuff,
Norse mythology.
yeah, there's a lot of it. Due
Yeah.
to Japanese translation stuff, Ichival has sort of ended up becoming a pretty well-known name over time. I don't know. I've seen it in a lot of games.
It's
It's in
okay. I'm sure
Smite.
we also say it incredibly wrong.
Yeah. Uh, the funny thing is like the the subtitles write out a certain way, right? Like the way that as an English speaking audience we
Yeah.
would have seen
hmm
it over
hmm
time. And then uh in the show when it detects what's called the off Wacken waveform, or basically just the signal of a relic, um it says on the screen Ichi ball. So like Ichi as in like one in Japanese. So ICHII dash BAL. So it's completely spelled differently in the show, but as an English speaking audience, that doesn't make any sense. So they changed that. Um, but yeah, so those are some examples of uh, the namesakes of different, the main three Symphogears that we've seen. Um, they're powered by phonic gain, uh, which uh, has been shown a little bit over time. It's why they need to sing as they're fighting. Um, and yeah, some people just have a naturally higher like output. Like in order to awaken the
Well, they only
relic in the
briefly
first
mention it.
episode. Hmm.
They only briefly mention it, but the first time someone activated a relic was uh wait, let me my cheat sheet. Subasa
Yes.
singing when she was brought in seemingly, I'm guessing, to her uncle or dad's or brothers
Do you want to
or
know?
cousins. I know.
Okay.
I want to continue to guess because I cannot tell.
Okay.
Uh but anyway, when if she was brought in there, which as soon as I saw it, I assumed, oh, she must have been the kid of one of the scientists or something.
Hmm.
And then she just started singing, which awoken the thing.
Right. Like her voice had compatibility
Yeah,
and high phonic gain or whatever, and so she
which
awakened it.
they don't make clear if that's a random happenstance or something Fine planned,
Well, Fine
which I
hadn't
don't
awakened
think it.
yet.
Oh, she hadn't. How long
No,
did it?
so Fine only awakens at the signal of an off walk-in waveform. And so
Oh,
her
okay.
singing to the
That's
relic is what
right. That's right.
awakened
Okay,
her and
okay. I'm
erased
remembering this
Sakurai
now.
Ryoko from
Yeah, I get it.
existence, basically.
Yeah. Okay. So that's right. That's why we flash back to the scene in the first place because she's
Exactly.
standing there.
Right.
Okay. Sorry.
They're like, what happened to, the real Ryoko
Yeah.
then?
That's
And
the
she
whole reason
says,
we cut
well,
back.
12 years ago,
Yes.
you killed her.
Mhm.
It's
Yes.
your fault, Tsubasa.
Why'd you sing?
You should have just kept your mouth shut.
This is what they were talking about in. You know what? Actually, that's not true. I was gonna say this is what they're talking about in Footloose, but that's dancing, not singing. Uh,
Hmm.
okay, never mind. No singing for you, Subasa. Bad things happen. Except keep singing. That's your character arc.
So each Symphogear has its own arm gear. For Gungnir, it's this like giant lance when Kanade had it.
Uh
For
huh.
Tsubasa, obviously, it's this katana. For Chris, it's a shit ton of guns. Uh, but for some reason, Hibiki isn't able to summon her own. And obviously, by the way, all the things I just mentioned are all a counterpart to its mythical, basis, right? Like Ichival is a bow. Gungnir is obviously Odin's lance. I mean, Habakiri is a blade. All of these are, uh, a parallel to their, basis in mythology, which is really cool. Um, but Hibiki isn't able to summon her own armed gear. Do you think she'll be able to do that in the future, or do you think that, uh, you know,
Obviously.
she
Of
she
course.
lacks one?
Hopefully it's a new cooler weapon
Mhm,
than a spear. But yeah, she'll be able to do it. Easy.
mhm.
Mm, That's not even a question. Sadly, this is a sad thing, by the way. I report to you sadly, uh, with my extensive media knowledge and foreshadowing that they have uh given me to work with. She's obviously going to get a weapon, probably going to be the spear or a cooler version of the spear. I wish she just stuck with punching things.
Mm. That's fair.
I'm
Her punching is
this is
very
my
cool.
so spoilers. My complaint of season 2, 3 or 4, probably not 5, but maybe 5 as well, is that she's no longer punching things. I don't know.
I hope we make it to 5. I think you'll like
We will.
5.
We will. We will get there. I'm interested enough.
Um, but yeah, so I probably should have got into this earlier. But I wrote this down, and I think it's a good way to describe Hibiki as a whole. Um, and it's her own words from episode 6. It's if the noise are attacking someone, I want to save them as soon as I can. I want to be there as fast as possible. As soon as possible, I want to head straight for them. And if I'm fighting a person, not noise, I want to tell them what I'm feeling. I want to know if we really have to fight. Funny enough, as we watched that scene, we were like, "Why did that have so many weird cuts?" That's the scene
Oh,
where
that's right. That's the
it
scene
faded
where
to
they
black,
cut to
zoom, fade
her.
to black, zoom, fade to black, zoom.
Yeah,
But that's
it
as
was
she's saying like,
weird.
she's basically saying like, as fast as possible, as soon as possible, straight for them. And at each of those points, it's like black zoom, black zoom, black zoom. So it's as if she's closing in on the person, I think is the idea of those cuts. Um,
It didn't really convey that well, but I
it,
understand what they were going for.
right, that's fair. Yeah.
And even if I knew what they were saying, that's still the transitions were still really weird.
That's fair. Yeah. No, I get it. I like the weirdness of the show at
Mm,
times though. So I dug it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, in general, she really has no hesitation when it comes to saving people from the noise, even at the risk of her own, injury. I suppose if she's gonna get hurt, though, if she's in a Symphogear, she's not gonna, die, right? So better for her to get hurt than for someone to, disintegrate. Um, but when Subasa and Chris had their first fight, she tries to intervene and get them to stop because they're both people, you know. Uh, I like her idea of just she's fine with fighting to protect people, but really wants to avoid hurting other people to do so. You know, like it takes a lot to push her to a point where she's ready to fight somebody, like a person. You know. Um. Yeah. What about Chris? We haven't really talked much about her.
She was probably my favorite of the main three.
Yeah.
I liked her. I liked her arc and her character in general. Plus Gun.
Was good. Yeah.
Never forget.
She does have a very cool design, and certainly the most unique like backstory of the three, I would say.
Yeah, I think she's the most interesting character inherently.
Hmm.
Like her backstory is very unique and different from the others, and would not fit this show from my does not fit my expectations of the show at least.
Yeah, right. Like this child of these two musical geniuses who want to make peace in an active war zone through their music.
Wow,
Uh, of course, they
didn't
failed and
go
died
well.
because they went to an active war zone with
Their
instruments
kid.
and a child. Don't know how they thought that was a good idea. Um,
Well, we
it's
can't afford a
like the gang
babysitter.
goes to a war zone, cut the child
Yeah.
being taken in by gangs and slave traders for years. Um,
Yeah.
and so yeah, she was beaten and treated super cruelly, and
Mhm.
just and then she gets snatched up by Fine. Um, and then she has to deal with daily abuse and Stockholm syndrome. Um, she's like, Fine needs me. I, and then eventually realizes she's just a tool. Um, but yeah, it's she's definitely very interesting. I think she's
I think they
probably
also
the
do a
most
really good
interesting of
job
them
of
within season one.
yeah, yeah. They do a really good job of making her arc feel realistic, where that can be both very easily dragged out and very easily done fast. Where she
Yeah.
really did care about Fiona and was like obsessed with her, but you know, she changed her mind over time.
Hmm.
It wasn't an instant thing. No one person did it. No one act did it. It was a big change, and that's very good because it happened over like 6 or 7 episodes.
Yeah,
It was
exactly.
not a very
Like
long time, but it
right
felt really well done.
away, Hibiki tries to,
Yeah,
stop them from fighting, and she very much fails.
yeah.
She gets stronger. She's able to do more in episode 6, and then as the course of the show goes on, Chris meets Miku. She realizes, maybe Fine doesn't love me.
What?
um, maybe she's
No,
not taking care of me. But
ridiculous.
I think at times, her motivations and conflicts can come across as like very basic and childish, but I think that's the idea.
Oh yeah, she
She's
never
this
had a
kid.
childhood. Well, I
Exactly.
mean, she did, but
Well,
not after a
you
certain
know,
point.
she's a kid who just got thrown into tragedy after tragedy and built up resentment against everything and everyone along the way. Her parents, who brought her there, the adults who heard her pleas and ignored her, Fine, who took her
Exactly.
and ignored her,
Yeah.
used her. So of course she has these super fundamental trust issues, but thankfully Genjiro exists, and so he very slowly uh builds rapport with her, and you know does things for her without asking for anything in return. He just helps and is not like, you should join us, you should come, you kill the noise. He's just like, hey, I'm here. Here is food. Here is a way to get around town and buy food.
Except it's not really. It's actually a phone.
Yeah,
Haha.
it's well, he did say it's a transponder. So,
Yeah.
you know. Um and he has a reason too. It's not just she is a person and I need to help. It's like, well, he was part
Mhm.
of the team that was supposed to save her, but
Yes.
they lost track of her, and now he's the last surviving member of that team. Everyone else is dead or missing, and so he's very persistent in tracking her down and trying to explain things. And uh, he has a good reason for doing so. She has a good reason for not trusting him initially. Um, and like you said, if this was dragged on, it would have sucked. But thankfully, uh, it it wasn't. It went over pretty well.
Yeah.
What did you think about Miku? I know you said you love Miku.
Oh, she was great. Innocent. Uh, just wants to. I don't know how to put it. She doesn't want to have to worry about Hibiki.
Hmm.
She just wants everyone to be safe and happy. She's the most shows like this, or like Magical Girl specifically, have the one character that is just normal and wants to be normal.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I don't know. She wasn't like an amazingly written character or anything, but she's
Like
the
necessary.
emotional anchor of the series.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
Series wouldn't work without her.
Yeah. She's also just a magnet for Symphogear users, dude. Like, her best friend
True.
becomes one because of
True.
her. It's your fault, Miku. Really, it's your fault you have to worry about Hibiki now. You sent her to that concert. Uh, and then she becomes friends with Chris. This girl just
Mhm.
can't catch a break. It seems to be a common theme for her. She invites, she misses the concert, friend nearly dies, becomes fused with an ancient relic, goes to school, everything's all nice and fun until she gets recruited into work for a secret government organization that Hibiki can't tell Miku about. Now Miku's worrying about Hibiki and her safety since all of a sudden she's not showing up and breaking promises. And then finally Miku learns about everything, which causes a fight between them. Eventually escalating to the point where she watches Hibiki fly into space, sing a climax song, explode a falling piece of the moon. Uh, so and giving her the star shower that she had been asking for to watch with Hibiki, breaking another promise in the process.
Mm.
And then being the good people they are, they let her think she was dead for 3 weeks.
Yeah, okay. So this is where we're
Can
gonna
we just
talk
give that
about the
girl a break,
negative.
bro? God damn.
Oh boy. Let's go. So the ending of the show is pretty bad. Like negative a point bad. Like it's not only that it was bad, it's that the initial first frame, like frame one, minute one, we get the setup of how did Hibiki die?
Mm-hmm.
Answer was obviously she didn't. But it wasn't a big reveal she didn't. It wasn't uh it wasn't anything. It was just, oh look over there. There she is. Everything's fine now. It's all happy. The end.
Yeah.
It happened in 30 seconds. Was oh, they're alive? All alive. It's fine. Uh don't worry, everything's gonna be okay. Um they are seeing the stars. It's over. It was just so fast and jarring and weird because obviously none of them are going to die.
Mm-hmm.
Like if they had been, it could have been done so many other different ways. It would have been interesting. I'm perfectly fine with them living. I expected them to live, but
Right. Especially after episode 11 and 12.
yeah, but like not, zoom frame over to them or pan shot with a pan shot over to them, and oh, they're all just standing there and they're all fine. Don't worry about the fact that Hibiki had a grave. Uh, and that Miku was there
In
crying
all
over
fairness,
it.
it was unmarked. Uh, Not to say it makes the ending any better,
Uh
but
huh.
uh, yeah. Also, like, where's her parents?
They never mentioned that, did they?
No, if like Miku thought she was dead for 3 weeks and went to her grave presumably
I
daily.
mean, she's at like a boarding school, so assumedly,
Whatever. Kid died at
uh,
school. I guess we'll just
I mean,
leave her.
there was a giant bombing of the city, so
Yeah, I
you know,
guess. But if
she
my
just went
kid died,
missing.
I might be interested in, you know, showing up, seeing what happened. I don't know, just me.
I
I understand
I
not
like
focusing
this
on
show overall,
characters who.
but I'm sorry.
No,
I'm just thinking of the ending. Like
yeah.
I can think of a million different ways
Mhm.
that you could do something interesting. Have her parents be there. I don't know. Do something.
What would
But I mean, you
what
go.
do you think would have been a better ending that accomplishes the same thing but does it in a different way to where like we know the three are alive, but it's done in a more uh done in a bit of a better way. Especially for me, the
Same exact
biggest
thing, but
thing
they're all
is
injured.
like that's fair. Yeah. And I think them
That's it.
being gone for 3 weeks is pretty rough, right? Like it makes you not trust Genjiro. It makes
Yeah,
you
if they're all injured though, then it's like, well, they landed somewhere and they were all,
right.
it took them 3 weeks to get back wherever. They could have landed on an island in the middle of nowhere.
That's fair. Yeah.
It could have been. They were at Hawaii. There's your response.
Hmm.
They landed on Hawaii. Who cares? Just anything.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, really, the true best option would have been, um, you have the whole thing up to Miku saving the girl, and then the other girls about to get eaten by the noise. They're killed, and then you cut to Hibiki. Even though, sorry, not Hibiki. You cut to Miku. Uh, and then she's gets a look of determination. Cut to black, and then singing starts, and that's the end. And Hibiki, Chris, and Tsubasa all actually died. That's the best ending, right there.
Honestly,
But we have 4 more seasons, so
when Hibiki like turned around and was like, live strong, like
yeah, Yeah.
I would have been
Wouldn't have been
okay with
great?
them with her
Actually
dying.
lives
Actually,
on, and
like
her
I
like
I
motivation now. She can,
I would have
be
wanted her to
strong.
survive, but I would have been okay with her dying. Honestly.
Yeah.
And this is me talking, and I'm always the
Yes.
one who wants like, give me the happy, like, give me
But
happy.
as soon as the other two went with her, there was no chance.
Yeah, yeah.
I've probably stated I will probably we run a One Piece podcast. This is going to come up a lot. The one thing I know about the series is going to come up a lot. It's a shonen. Um, I hate fake out deaths. I hate them. Especially when they're obvious they're fake out deaths.
Hmm.
They I'm perfectly fine. Just don't do it. Just keep them alive. The
Yeah.
end.
I think
I don't know.
like yeah, there definitely it could have been done better. For me, it's I don't know.
My only
I
major complaint with the
expected it to
series.
happen so much that it wasn't like a
I
letdown.
expected it to happen from episode one. Like,
Right. Like I never thought that they would die. I wasn't spoiled on it. Even
yeah. I mean,
even though I watched on Crunchyroll.
I've seen images from the series, like just in general of them, their suits or whatever.
Uh-huh.
I've probably seen some from other seasons, but I don't remember.
Exactly.
So I couldn't tell you.
Um but yeah, like definitely it could have been done better, but just personally it didn't affect my enjoyment enough for me to like everything
Yeah, like
else
I
was
said, that's
so
like
like building
my
building building. It's more ridiculous, it's more ridiculous. The animation looks great, the music I love. um so for me, season 1 is one of my two favorite seasons, with the fifth season being my second favorite, and not like ranked, just tied. um the two of them are both very, very good. And honestly, upon rewatching, I might, change my opinion. I think, watching them over the course of 4 days, um, uh,
fine.
probably could have affected that. Uh, but yeah,
Like I said, it's my personal bias. That's my number one thing that will get me every time. It will never. It like no matter how small it would be, it's always going to be my major complaint. Even if it's a small, tiny one, I'm going to complain about it.
yeah.
I
I
think overall,
guess
I'd give the show like a probably an 8. I'm going back and forth between 7 and 8, but like 7 seems too low, but 8 seems too high at the same time.
7.5.
7.5 out of 10.
For me, it's a 9. Uh, Spoiler, I've told you this, so I'll just say it on the podcast. The
Mhm.
way my rankings currently are, my ratings, I should say, is that from season 1 to season 5, the way my ratings go is Symphogear season 1 is a 9, season 2 is an 8, season 3 is a 7, season 4 is an 8, season 5 is a 9. So it's this like, you know, bit of a
Roller
roller
coaster.
coaster in the ratings,
I'm
but
very
none
excited to
of them
see
were
what I
like
think
that
of your
bad,
7.
you know. It was good. It's just I'm sure many people would disagree with my rankings and have them inverted even. Like a lot of people would put season 1 at the bottom. Uh but for me, I really love it. And speaking of deaths, by the way, uh fun fact about Fine, she's been resurrecting over and over again at key points of technological advancements throughout history. Uh Implying the show implies through some
Yeah, that's right.
like slides that
Oh,
she has been like Julius Caesar, and God, who was the other like main?
Cleopatra.
Oh,
Um.
Cleopatra. Yeah, there was another like male leader that was
Oh,
like very
Caesar.
famous. Yeah, I said Caesar. I don't know. There was another one. Either way,
Did?
there
Okay,
are like
sorry.
many. No, that's okay. There are many like major historical figures in our history that are just Fine. Whenever there's a big technological advancement, it's her.
I mean, nothing gets doper than I don't know why I said that, but I think it's I haven't seen it, but I believe it's Yu-Gi-Oh!
Uh-huh.
Where isn't Moses? What? Tell me about Moses, or is it Jesus? Didn't he
Mm.
or who? Wait, who parted the Red Sea?
Oh,
Who he did that with
Moses,
Yu-Gi-Oh
right?
cards, right? Yeah, yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think that is a Yu-Gi-Oh thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
he did.
forget that because
That's like
that's like
it's
part
part of
of like the
Yu-Gi-Oh lore.
later, like part of the
Oh, okay.
later Yu-Gi-Oh.
Big twist.
It's the last Yu-Gi-Oh season,
Oh,
or
okay.
the first season later episodes.
Oh,
And so
got it,
I
got it.
forget the exact stuff. That was a crazy
Mhm.
season. Uh,
I've never seen it, but I just know
yeah,
that one thing, and it's very cool.
it's very funny. Um,
In JoJo, isn't Jesus a stand user?
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. It's funny you
I don't
mentioned
remember.
that. Um,
Two things I haven't seen most of.
so people have been. I was reading through the wiki, okay, the Symphogear wiki,
Okay.
and people were comparing Chris to Jesus Christ.
Oh, fun.
Let me pull this up real quick. Chris, not Kazunari, uh, Yukine. Let's see. I'll only name the non-spoilery bits.
Okay.
Uh, Chris's character has several references to Jesus Christ. Uh, she was born 3 days after Christmas. She is crucified at one point by Fine. At one point dies, episode 11, and resurrects, episode 12. Uh, Interestingly, Fine, Chris's former mistress, has a few references to the Virgin Mary, mother of Jesus, and her name is one letter off of Christ, and both names come from the origin of the same word, meaning anointed slash to rub in holy oil, and can be transliterated into English as Messiah.
Nice.
So I guess Chris
Very
is
excited for
Jesus.
her to sacrifice herself in the final season.
She already did in this season.
She's got to do it again. The other people did it. They copied her, so you got to make it more
That's
important.
fair. It was a very cool sacrifice. Uh, I guess, yeah. What did you think about them shooting the moon?
That was very cool.
Yeah,
I mean, like you said, I kind of saw it coming,
yeah,
but
that was
only because I
surprising.
randomly guessed. I mean, like it's just logical. It's a logical progression from
Yeah.
what you're doing. What's the big plan? What have we introduced? Like it's like theorizing on what's going to happen next in a thing is all about thinking what are the things we have introduced in this current story,
Mhm,
and where how create what have we done so far, and thinking about what you can do next.
mhm.
Like that's I do this with a lot of stuff, and it's always very satisfying when I'm wrong or cannot figure out what's going to happen. Well, it's either that or bad because it's then completely illogical. But when it's good and
Yeah,
logical and I don't see it coming, I always like that. But in this instance, Moon's important. We got the sword in the basement. There's going to be an attack, probably going to go under to the sword.
I
She's been
think,
revealed, so she's getting desperate.
I think, it was just one line from Fine, and I could be wrong about this, so I'm not sure.
Hmm.
Um, but Fine says at one point, so in the final episode, Fine is like this giant kaiju-like thing, and she
Yeah.
has a complete relic, which is the armor of Nehushtan, and uh, Hibiki, Tsubasa, and Chris are wielding the sword of Durandal together to finish her off. And Fine has a line about like the complete destruction or the destruction of two complete relics, like the mutual destruction of two complete relics. So I think
Yes.
the sword of
Yes.
Durandal has maybe been destroyed by taking out
Yes.
Nahushtan.
Absolutely.
Okay,
That is what is
you
implied.
said like the destruction of the sword or like the sword in the basement or something.
Well, I meant like that was it.
Durandal was the
Like
sword.
that was a plot point that had not been concluded yet. It was in the basement, so I
Okay.
uh yes. So like I was able to see that coming.
I
Obviously it
gotcha.
doesn't exist currently. So
Hmm.
This was obviously made with the intention that they'll probably only make one season, or at least the knowledge that they could possibly only make one season.
Yeah,
Uh,
there's enough
there's enough
like
setup
built
there.
in here that definitely there's a
They
ton to go
definitely
off
they
of.
like it's
Like they
obvious
definitely
that they
wanted to make
wanted
more.
to.
Yeah.
Yes, but they also knew it's
There's a
television. You could
chance
get
we
canceled
might
because
not.
someone had a bad cup of coffee that morning.
Mhm. And then every season past season 2 was on a schedule. It was like,
Yes.
okay, this is coming out and it's coming out at this exact date.
Mm.
It's like a MMO X pack. You know when it's coming out. You just gotta wait. It's on a 2-year cycle actually.
Wow.
So not
Just like
anymore.
hit MMO Final No, I'm not going to do that. Again.
uh, so I guess you know to maybe sort of go towards wrapping things up. We can talk about more stuff if you'd like, but
I think we've hit most plot points.
maybe we could talk about Hibiki and Miku a bit.
The
Uh,
greatest couple in anime.
yeah, the power couple. I have
Mm-hmm.
2 quotes from both of them. The first one's from Hibiki. It's something she says twice,
Oh, okay.
and intended to say a third time. Uh, Kohinata Miku is my sunflower. It's meant to be sunshine, I think. That's the Crunchyroll mess up. It's warmest when I'm near you, and that's the place I always return to. It's
Mm-hmm.
always been that way, and it always will be. And Miku says to Hibiki, the only person I can fully trust is you, Hibiki. And that's as she's
Lucian.
about to run off, attracting a noise to allow Hibiki to save the flower lady. So she definitely fully trusts her. Yeah, they're pretty close, I'd say. They sleep together. They bathe together in a private bath. They hold hands all the time.
I don't know. You were implying they were just roommates.
True, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yuki does say in episode 6, though, she's never had a boyfriend, so.
Mm. True. Not
You
lying.
know, just
Probably.
saying.
Oh yeah, they were honestly really really well done. Like
Yeah.
I was invested in their relationship
hmm
probably more than any other one.
Where, if you were to guess, we were just talking about like how to sort of uh, guess where things go from here and all that. Where
Ooh.
would you guess that things would go from here? And I will say, as you're thinking, the
Mhm.
show is super utterly ridiculous and hard to follow at times. But the world of Symphogear
Good.
does make sense within the context that they give you, and it remains pretty
Mhm.
consistent with its in-universe logic. Sometimes you get
Good.
that
Good.
that context later, so it can seem like a
I
retcon.
can buy into anything if
But
it's consistent in its in
yeah,
your in universe logic.
right. So it is pretty consistent with its own like in-universe logic. And if you have a question about something, for the most part, you can answer it with the context you've been given, which is nice.
Okay.
So any thoughts on where season 2 and maybe even past that might go?
Our ongoing plot points. We have the I know wait, I can get it. It's the C word.
Oh,
Conductor.
careful. No,
It's yep. Carpenter.
no, that's Jesus.
What? Spoilers.
Custodian.
That's it. Okay. The custodian slash Lulu Amel or separate beings. Unclear. Wait, no, it's not. Wait, no. Hmm.
I will say, Fine did say she fell in love with the
Lulu Amel
creator
is the
god.
previous race. Yeah. Okay. So it's questionable how many
Gods there are.
beings there are. Yes. But we'll obviously have to explore where the noise came from and what their deal is.
Hmm.
But it doesn't seem like a next season thing.
Hmm.
The thing is, there's only like 5 important characters. And none of them really have ongoing plot points right now. There's obviously we're gonna have to deal with America. That was a
Hell
plot
yeah,
point that was
brother.
not finished up. Let's go. Very excited for all the characters to get to get fired and have their jobs replaced by Americans.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
That's how we get the JoJo's plot where eventually the characters cycle out each season is a new country takes over and
Okay,
we get a new group of magical girls in the same suits.
perfect. Um, but yeah, other than that, I don't have many strong theories. Honestly, I've been trying to think of for like a half hour now
Mhm,
of any big theories I have, and I don't really have any. They're going to go to space at some point, like
mhm.
for space, real space. There will be aliens in some capacity, whether that
Beyond the
be
noise.
the noise are are they alien?
Well, they're made by humans.
They're made, yeah, they're not aliens.
Mhm.
But they come from a different dimension or whatever. It's
Yeah,
unclear. They don't abide by the laws of physics, basically,
right.
or
The laws of the
current
universe.
reality.
Yeah.
So we got to deal with them. But there are going to be actual aliens. Though I would not be surprised if that made the I keep wanting to say curator,
Custodian.
custodian. I'm never going to remember that now. Uh, But yes, there's the custodian, which I would not be surprised if it was an alien. But there will be aliens. Promise
Okay.
you that. They will go to space.
Mhm.
They will upgrade their suits. Hopefully, they will get better, good-looking suits,
How
unlike
can
their
they upgrade their suits from the end of the last episode though? They
well, you
they were so
could
strong.
paint them,
You could paint
and
them.
they're more powerful automatically. Just win.
That's fair.
And I hope Miku never gets a Symphogear. That's all I'm gonna say.
Mm.
I'd be
I
very disappointed if she did.
uh do you think we'll get anything regarding like Hibiki's, weird berserker mode type thing?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Because they exported a little, but
Yeah.
She has to go full berserk mode at some point.
I mean, I think
Like,
she did. She
no,
did go
she
full
didn't.
berserk
She
mode
didn't. But
in
she
that
didn't do
fight with the
anything.
tower. I
She
mean,
just stood there.
she did cut um Fine in half.
Okay, she did, but she didn't accomplish anything. Okay, she didn't do anything significant.
That's
We
fair.
needed an Evangelion episode 19 moment. She's gonna go
Yeah.
insane
I think
and
that that
blow
is
some stuff
actually
up.
based on Ava Unit 1, by the way.
Obviously,
Yeah.
obviously.
All
Let's
of
take
them
tons of
have
inspiration
like
from it.
different mechas and stuff that they're based on from different anime for the most part. Or
Mm.
different, attack names and stuff that they're based on, like, you know,
I mean, what's her name? The big kick she does with the sword. Like, I know
yeah,
it's
no, that looks like
I don't know
Inazuma
if
Kick. It does.
it looks like the Inazuma
It
kick.
does. You're
Like
right. I
the
thought that
angle and
as
the
I watched
framing.
it.
Honestly, she reminded me a lot of I'm forgetting the secondary character from Gunbuster.
I wouldn't be able to tell you, bud.
It's okay. I'm cheating. I have Mal. Thankfully, I
Nice.
have the internet. Kazumi. That's it.
Azumi, okay.
Kazumi. It reminded me a lot of hair, the blue-haired one.
Mhm.
Personality-wise, they share a lot of similar character traits. But yes, that's obviously a gunbuster. Or well, I mean, it could be from something else. I don't know. I don't know anime
Yeah, we don't know
pre
mechas well
90s.
enough.
Uh, obviously, like I thought for a long time I thought what is it the Gynax pose
Yep.
was a thing that like originated in Gurren Lagann
Oh my god.
for a long time. But nope.
Little fun facts, by the way. Um, so Hibiki's like scar on her chest is a
Mhm.
forte symbol, uh,
Oh
which
yeah, I feel like you mentioned this. Yeah.
yeah, in music, means to produce like a louder or stronger sound, which is very very fitting for her personality.
Yes,
It's like
exactly.
I'm loud, and you'll never be able to unsee this, so I'm sorry. But Subasa's hair has the shape of an eighth note, in music.
Ah.
You know how it just kind of weirdly sticks out.
Uh-huh.
That's why it's an eighth note.
Mm, okay. You shouldn't have told me that. Uh, what does Chris have?
She's Jesus.
Wow, the greatest musician of our time.
Yeah. No, I'm not sure what like for musical like motifs in their design, those are the two that I know. I mean, for Hibiki, it's very obvious.
Yeah.
Uh, for Tsubasa, I never noticed when I watched the first time. I only noticed going through the wiki. And for Chris, I have no idea if she does have one. But
We'll just have to find out in Symphogear Season 2.
yeah, whenever that may come out, we'll have to figure that out. But
We shall see.
I don't know.
Probably
This
sooner
was
than later.
fun.
We probably should have started this episode with being like, whoa, there's no One Piece episode this week.
We did say it'd just be the two of us, and that we would be covering this. That's all right.
Well, that's fine. This was fun.
This was fun. Yeah, I
I'm
hope
glad
that
we watched.
we finish the series. We'll see. We'll see how it goes and what Agro's feeling and how the
Yes.
podcast goes and
Not
all
gonna
that.
force myself to watch it, but
Yeah,
I do want to watch more.
yeah, no worries. You're starting to not feel it, we can always pivot to something else.
We will find out in the future.
Yes,
In the meantime, uh, we do a One Piece podcast.
we do. It is our normal podcast, actually.
Yes. You probably heard about that first if you're here.
Yes, so you can
I
check
mean, if
that
not,
out.
then wow. Hi, nice to meet you.
That should be back soon. Uh, should be back to your regularly scheduled programming shortly. Uh, but
That is
when
under the Iron Flag. You can find all our content on that YouTube channel
Mhm.
and also maybe Spotify, but I'm not sure exactly if we have everything on there. It's complicated. Don't worry about it. Uh, also there's mine and Saflam, our other hosts of the One
Yes,
Piece podcast, the third member of the Under the Iron Flag crew.
or
We
Navigator.
did a Attack on Titan final season parts 1 and 2 discussion spoiler cast. So if you're interested in that, you can check that out as well.
Yeah, got a whole bunch of content, and this is going to be one of the sort of in between podcasts we do when Agro and I are both around, and
Yes, if
when our
third host
navigator
can't make it,
Saflam is not. So
third host can't make it, we will do a random thing.
yeah, we may
We'll
even
see.
like pre-record these and release them that way. We have them in our
Honestly, if
our back
because we have
pocket,
a
but we'll see.
because we are all three of us are doing editing duties, we could do like if we felt like just watching it, we could just release it
Yeah,
like on a Tuesday or a Friday or something. So
double
you will
release.
get a sequel to this podcast episode
Look forward to it. I know I
in
am.
the future.
Hopefully,
When, as game
next.
developers say, when it's done.
Uh-oh. That's a
Oh
bad omen.
no!
That's a bad omen. What'd you do?
It's been canceled,
Oh god.
delayed by 2
Oh,
years.
there's so many bugs.
I've been Iron Aggro.
And I am
Uh,
Lucian Graves. And
so I was hoping you'd continue.
yeah, no, and we'll be back next week. Probably with we just want to talk about One Piece, but if not, we'll be back with something else. So, thank you very much for listening. And yeah, we'll see you soon on Under the Iron Flag.
Bye bye.